Nintendo Report TV at E3.
This is E3 2007, of course. Who are you?
I'm Aaron Weber. I'm the social media manager for Sonic the Hedgehog.
This game is coming out so soon now, August. I would assume, the game is pretty close to being done at this point?
Yeah, I mean, Sonic Mania is wrapping up development right now. They're putting the final layers of polish and doing all the bug fixing and all that fun stuff. The game comes out August 15th, so we're only a couple months away right now.
Curious about the Switch build of the game. I know Tantalus is developing that down in Australia. I guess to make the game, do you know anything about the system of how they are in contact with the main development team?
Yeah, so Tantalus is in Australia. Christian Whitehead, as you may know, is also an Australian. And so, those guys are in touch whenever they need to be, and I think the Sega groups here can also kind of help get things done as needed whenever the groups might need assistance. But they're working really hard, and the Switch version is really, really fun to play. If you've tried it already, we had it at some of the Nintendo events. It's really neat because you can take each of the Joy-Cons and use them to control Sonic and Tails as you play through the game.
We checked it out at the Sega Atlas booth, and yes, it is awesome on Switch. Curious, the Chemical Plant Zone, I noticed, especially for Act 2, there's quite a bit of new features. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. What you see right here, I'm jumping on these sort of like little gooey wall platforms, and they move up and down the walls. We got some springs, we got this new sort of substance that turns the water in Chemical Plant Zone from being a hazard into something we can use to platform with. And you see it changing colors to a light blue and a green. There we go. We can kind of bounce around. The original Chemical Plant was kind of horizontal. You ran from left to right. Chemical Plant Zone Act 2 is an entirely new level, built from the ground up, and you're actually going more vertical than you are horizontal in Act 2, and that's kind of one of the neat parts about the level. So let's see if I can get this right. If we can kind of bounce back and forth. Sometimes you can jump up and get those items there. And there's this too, which is pretty cool. A little like DNA helix, it takes you up. Right over here on the right, this is a section for Knuckles, so he can punch through this to get to an exclusive part of the level. And of course, Tails can fly you around. I'm gonna try not to die here. There we go. You can kind of see what happens, and so we make it more and more bouncy, and it sends us flying to new parts of the level.
I'm curious. I know, you just showed us that area that Knuckles can get to, but of course Knuckles can climb. I assume there's been quite a lot of thought for the level design just for Knuckles' climbing ability and maybe secrets only he can get to?
There's all sorts of stuff hidden in this game. There's so many Easter eggs that I think people will have a hard time finding them all, even within 2 to 3 playthroughs of the game. There's probably going to be stuff that people are going, wait, is that really in there? I didn't know you could get to that part of the level, or stuff like that the entire way through.
I know in Chemical Plant Zone Act 1, just on Genesis, there were already quite a few hidden lives and things. Are we probably going to have a few extra of those?
Oh yeah, even in Act 1, which is in this game, in Sonic Mania, Act 1 of Chemical Plant is both Act 1 and Act 2 of the original kind of squished together. It's also still got some new stuff going on in there too, so there's quite a bit happening.
Quick question about Chemical Plant Zone. I know people, I guess, were a little surprised by its return.
Yeah.
Chemical Plant Zone is one of my favorite levels in Sonic 2, so I can understand that, but I know Sonic Generations also brought back Chemical Plant Zone, so just curious, any thoughts on that decision to bring back Chemical Plant specifically?
Yeah, well, Chemical Plant's a really iconic level, but the key is to make sure that it's not exactly the same as what you remember. Like, I think a lot of people in particular, they want to play something new, and so Chemical Plant, and here in Act 2 you can see it demonstrates an ability, an opportunity to do that in a really fun way. So I know our fans in particular really were like, oh man, Green Hill Zone, after they saw it in Forces again too. But even in both those cases, it's kind of like a thematic thing, but the levels you're playing, the content you're going through is pretty different compared to what you saw in the original. So Chemical Plant is one of those moments when you think about Sonic 2 that you go, I remember drowning in Chemical Plant, or the pink water, or all those kind of things. So very iconic, and I think that's why the team chose it. I'll show you Act 1 here really quickly.
Awesome.
Yeah, take a look at that. All right, cool, here we go. So here's Act 1, and Act 1 starts off a lot like what you'd expect. Same with Green Hill Zone, right? In the first 10 seconds, you're like, oh, I've seen this. But then it ends up becoming very, very different very quickly as you go through it. And you'll see some things in Act 1, even in Sonic Mania, that are different from the originals. There we go.
Okay, this already is a little different.
Yep, you might have already started to notice some things. There's even bubble shields, thankfully, in in this Act 1. Which I wish those could have been in the original.
Yeah.
Those bubble shields in Sonic 3 were a godsend. They were so nice. Thanks, Tails. That animation may be a little different in the final, but there's some secrets you might see. Who knows what that could be? Oh no, we're drowning. We're drowning. Music to haunt your nightmares.
You got this.
Whew, okay.
Maybe I got a little worried there.
I got a little nervous because the blocks were taking too long to go around. It's like, oh man, I don't know. There we go. So that's kind of the key thing about Mania, right? Is on one hand, it is referencing the past. It is taking elements from the past and celebrating those elements. But on the other, it's not relying on those. It's not saying, oh, this is how it once was. We're going to keep it exactly the same. It's saying we're always going to improve it. We're always going to improvise. We're always going to add more to it that you haven't seen before. That's kind of the spirit, I think, of Sonic Mania at its core, is feeling that nostalgia, but also getting to feel it all over again because you're getting these moments that you haven't seen, you haven't experienced at any point in any Sonic game.
I'm curious, so Christian Whitehead, I guess, he's the main developer?
That's right. There's actually a number of other developers, too. There's Simon Tomley, who goes by Headcanon. There's Pagoda West. There are other level developers. There's T. Lopes, the musician. So big team of people, very talented fans all around the world that have put their heart and soul into this game.
Let's see. The music. Oh.
I got squashed by the thing.
A classic, Sonic moment.
Yes. We'll try not to die this time. Let's see. There we go. Okay.
I'll admit, this section right here always got me, or I always had trouble.
It might get me if I don't go fast enough here. The problem is we have to wait for this part. Oh, come on. Come on. We're going to have to wait for it again. Music's going to start soon. There's the music. And now the nerve-wracking jump. We got it. We got it. Okay, there we go. We're good. And then there's that moment. Oh, got it.
I'm curious, at this point, since we've seen many of the levels, has any of the original Sonic team who worked on the original Genesis games played Sonic Mania and had anything to say about the game?
Yeah, this is a cool story. I'm going to let Sonic idle for a second while I tell you this. So, Naoto Oshima, who is one of the, is actually the guy that drew Sonic on a napkin in Kimbo Sonic's design. We showed him some of the stuff that we've been working on. You see the pre-order trailer with the little animation in the pre-order trailer? We showed him some of that stuff, and he was like so overjoyed at it and so happy. And we showed him Stardust Speedway as well, which we just recently revealed in that trailer. And since he worked on Sonic CD very closely, it was like a really cool moment for him to play it. And watching him smile and be like, this is really good. In Japanese, of course. But that moment was really cool for us to watch. And I think for the Mania dev team, it was certainly a moment of joy, hearing that like one of their idols really loved what they were working on. Same goes for Izuku-san, who came on with Sonic 3 and worked really hard on Sonic 3. He's been with them every step of the way, kind of giving feedback and helping them out. So it's been a really, really cool process for them to kind of get to watch their heroes, their idols that made all these old games, give feedback on these and say, you're doing a great job.
Yeah, I think that's amazing to hear. I think for the
oh no! I jumped right into the spike pit. Right in.
I assume, like you were saying, yeah, the development team, it must be really great to hear from the original creators that they're enjoying this.
Yeah, exactly. It's a big moment for them. It's like, you grow up idolizing someone that plays sports or something like that, and your all-star pick comes up to you someday and says, you're good at X sport. Like, it's a huge moment for you. It's the same for game development, I think, when you have people that you trust and love so much from what they've done in the past. Moments that had a big impact on your childhood, right? So.
One last question, I guess. I was curious. I guess we've only seen one classic level from each Sonic game. Is there the potential that we'll have two classic Sonic levels from a single game?
Wait and see. Wait and see. We haven't revealed the exact amount of levels or the total amount of zones that we're aiming for yet, but we will talk about that kind of stuff as we get a little closer to launch. The goal, of course, being that we do want to give people a nice sampling of stuff from a number of different Sonic games, but at the same time, a lot of new experiences too. So, speaking of, let's burn this bridge. Hey, there we go.
Has anyone had the idea of making like a Sega Genesis controller for any of the systems the game is coming out on?
So, it's unofficial, but there's actually a USB Sega Genesis controller already out there that someone's put together, and a Sega Saturn one as well. And I know the dev team really loves using the Sega Saturn ones when they go around to demo the game or to show it off.
That is great. Yeah.
Cool, yeah.
All right.
So the game comes out August 15th, and it's PC, PS4, Xbox One, and of course, the most important one for you guys, Nintendo Switch, where you can use each of the Joy-Cons to control Sonic and Tails, and that's, like we talked about earlier, it's a really nice fit, and classic Sonic works really well on a portable Nintendo platform. I never thought I'd say that as a kid growing up in the 90s, but there it is, I've said it. It's quite at home and feels very good.
Yeah, traveling back in time to like 8-year-old me, I would not believe this future we're in, but it's, I think it turned out pretty well.
And apparently Bubsy's coming back too. I don't even know what year we're in these days, man.
Yeah, Crash, Bubsy, Sonic, Mario, all new games. It's about time. Thank you so much for talking with us, Aaron.
Been a pleasure. Thanks for having me.